Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will, and I am excited today to have Dameda Finney on the phone. She is the general manager at Comida at the Source out in Denver, Colorado, and she works for a really dynamic lady named Ramey Rossello. If you've read any of our books, Ramey was in our second book. She's built a really cool business at Comida, and when I asked her who on her team was really dynamic and passionate about what they do and great at what they do and would be able to articulate it really well, she said Dameda. So here we are. So Dameda, thanks for taking the time.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Will.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, tell me about how did you get started in the restaurant business in the first place? I always like to get the backstory on everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I actually got lucky, I guess, if you will. Perhaps, some people disagree around what luck really is, but I started working at a place called the Swim Club in the Highlands, place with no experience. And it was like a swanky, loungy area or type of bar. And so I worked there for about 2 years, and then I got the opportunity to work at Protege, which is in Capitol Hill, which is a phenomenal farm-to-table restaurant run by Terry Ripido. And so I worked there and learned so much about the food industry, farm-to-table and wine and all the different components of how wine and food go together. And I was there for about 10 and a half years. And then, like I think everybody does, I kind of fell off and said, I'm done with the restaurant business and took some time off. And Ramey has been a friend of mine for some time, and I needed a job. And so the Stanley Marketplace was opening. I walked in there and asked her if I could work for her, and I started serving there. I saw some things that I wanted to change and started to do some consulting, and then she offered the GM position for Comida at the Source. And so I've been here ever since around November of 2017.
Nice. Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
tell me this, so you left the business, you came back to the business. What do you love about the restaurant business? Why are you doing what you do?
I love the people. It's such a bittersweet thing too, because sometimes the people drive me crazy. But what I really learned about myself, and especially being in this management position, is that I love connecting with people. I love connecting with our guests. I love connecting with our team and empowering everybody and inspiring everyone and just growing together. I mean, that's exactly that's what I love.
Gotcha. So you started as the GM about a year ago, but you said you had
Not even a year.
not
Yeah,
even a year
November
ago.
2017, I started training. Yes.
Okay, but you had ideas as a server of things you wanted to change. That sounds like you had and that's probably why you're doing what you are. You weren't just there working; you were there trying to improve the business. You had creativity and you had a little passion and drive around trying to make things better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, is that something that I really like that, and I think that there's a lot of people that might treat their job in a restaurant or any job as just I'm here and I'm going to do what I'm told to do, and here's a list of my tasks and
Absolutely.
other tasks. But when you
Mm-hmm.
have that drive to try to make things better, and you're bringing ideas that really are valuable to your manager or to your owner, isn't that a great
Mm-hmm.
path for growth within the industry?
Is it a great path for growth?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm understanding your question, I think it definitely is, because, I mean, for me, with anything, it's about learning and growing. And so, one thing that I've noticed in this industry, that there's a lot of people who just come in to serve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we can all speak to that, I think. And for me, it's like, how do we take it another level, and how do we actually give people, show them hospitality? So I think that's where the growth is like, how can we make somebody feel at home doing what we do?
How do you
But is it,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, please.
Well, I wonder how. Okay, so that clearly comes natural to you. You weren't asked to find things that could improve you. It came to you, and you brought ideas.
Right.
Do you look for that kind of go-getter mentality when you're hiring people, or can you train that? Is that something you think is natural, or is it something you can? I mean, I know you lead by example, so people might pick it up through osmosis. But then some people, are you trying to educate people and train your team on taking that same approach?
Yeah, I thank you for the question. I think that in this practice for me, because this is my first time in a management position, one of the things I love about Ramey, but what I've learned is I believe that hospitality is something. It's something that you are born with.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that you can learn it, but I think that there is someone like there's a. It's an innate. It's innate. And I've learned that through the people that I've hired here. There are people that I've hired, and I'm like, I want to give them a chance. And at the beginning, kind of like, I'm not sure if they're really the type that are going to actually, they're the go-getter. They're going to, take the initiative on things. And can I teach them this through the way that I'm showing up? And it doesn't always come up. Most of the time, it doesn't come up that way. Most of the time, they're not the type of people who take the initiative and, do those things on their own. And so I do feel that it is something that is innate.
So you really have to...
based upon my experience.
You can have a server that's been a server for 20 years, but it sounds to me like what's more important is even if somebody has never... You can teach them to serve, but you can't teach them to have that love of serving people and providing truly great hospitality and making people feel welcome and happy and trying to add something to their day. That's the innate thing that you probably have sharpened your skills and will continue to. I would imagine that's something that you guys are always looking for when you hires that over maybe serving experience. Is that fair?
Wait, can you repeat that, please? I apologize.
No, that's okay. I mean, I would imagine you're looking more for that than serving experience, if that's...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And this is one of the things that I really love about Ramey. I mean, to give me the opportunity to step into this role, to run her restaurant that she loves, without the experience, and knowing that I do really believe in the hospitality piece. I mean, I know that we need both, right? You need to serve and understand the hospitality, but that's the piece, is to understand the difference between the two. And between Ramey and Danny Meyer, they've helped me to really understand the difference. Well, and knowing the difference, like giving the people the experience,
Well, there's our Danny Meyer mention. I got to tell you, I have so much respect for him because so many people mention him and mention his book, Setting the Table. So is that is that something that y'all all read there, or just what's your experience with Danny Meyer?
I was introduced to Danny Meyer by Ramey, and she mentioned Setting the Table, and I read it, and I did, it's one of those books where I read a little bit and then I come back to it, and I was just like, the whole mentality around the difference between service and the difference between hospitality being like, service is what we do and hospitality is how we make a person feel, spoke to everything that I've been doing in this business since I started, without even really understanding that from the beginning.
Yeah. There is a big difference. It seems like it's almost a lost art these days. It's becoming more and more rare, which is unfortunate in some ways, but then maybe it's a good thing for folks like you and Ramey and your team, that when you have that kind of focus and you can provide that, it's such a wow experience for people because they're not as used to it now.
Absolutely.
It keeps them coming back, doesn't it?
It does, and that's the whole goal, right? It's like, that was one of the things that I loved working at Protégé. There were so many people who came through, and the food was amazing, but they also spoke to the fact that it was how they felt. They felt at home, and so that was my whole idea was like, that's what I want to create here. And Ramey's already been doing that, so it's nice to be able to jump on her coattails and actually ride along with her in creating more of that here.
How
So
do
it's been an exciting opportunity for me, and I'm grateful for that.
do you okay, so one of the big things now is, I keep hearing it's just harder and harder to find people these days. I'm curious
Yes.
if that's been your experience. And then what do you do? Like, I'm always curious, like, okay, so you have somebody leaves or whatever, good reasons, bad reasons, whatever. You let them go, they leave on their own, they're moving on. You've got an open position to fill, or you got several. Do you have to train yourself to figure out a way to wait and hold out for the right person, or do you have to try some people sometimes knowing it, you're not 100%? Like, how do you do that?
Well, that's a great question, Will, because I'm still learning, man, and I'll keep you posted. But
It's a
definitely
tricky
big
balance,
challenge
isn't
there.
it?
It's a tricky balance, and so what I would love, I mean, what I found in trying to get people in, because we went through a phase where there was a huge turnover, and it was pretty much right when I came in, so it was a tough transition, but I found myself doing that at first, like being so feeling desperate and knowing that there weren't a lot of quality people in the industry. I mean, there's not to say there aren't a lot, but I wasn't finding them, and I started to hire people. And as I've been learning, it's been hiring the people, and then if they work, then great, and if they don't, then I know sooner than I did before. And sometimes I know even before I hire them, right? Like that's the part of the learning. So it is a tough balance. But what I think is so important is it is hiring that individual, but how does that individual work with the team? And that's been something that I've learned from Protégé again, and something that I really look at too.
Oh, so
Like
you've really
I
got
watch
to.
the dynamics of that.
So it may seem like a good person, they may check off, but then you don't really know until they're there and they're working, and you don't really know how they.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you're learning that quicker now, so you're able to make changes as necessary sooner. Yeah, that's a tough thing these days. There's a lot of competition for talent, and it's hard to keep good people. And yeah. What?
Absolutely.
On that note, like
people who care, right?
People who really care, people who have that, like you said, where it's innate. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder if there's less people where that's innate now, or if those people are just doing different things. I don't know. It's hard to know, but
it's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's hard to know, but I will say this: like we were just sitting at our meeting this morning, and I am so grateful and amazed with the team that we've created here, because I feel like we have a solid group of people who do care.
Yeah.
And who want to be here, and they believe in what Comida stands for. They believe in Raimi. They believe in everybody they work with, and so so it's becoming that here, and that feels really great. And it just takes time, and it's trial and error, and you have to, you hire some people, and then you're like, this is not working, and you got to let them go. And I've had to do that quite a bit in the last month, and so it's just trial and error, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What else is going on in the restaurant business right now, or with you guys, that you think that you see as some of the challenges that y'all have?
Some of the challenges. The biggest challenge for us has been, I know you may not be familiar, but there's been so much construction.
Yeah, Raimi told me about
Denver.
that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that has really definitely impacted us in a really, really big way. And it's challenging because when people do find their way here, they love what we do because it's so unique.
Yeah.
And really helping people to understand, like, we're not claiming to be traditionally Mexican. There is a piece of that, but then we have a little bit of South, and bringing those two together, like, creates this beautiful marriage of love and unique flavors. And so when people understand that, and they taste it, they're like, and they love it. And so, I would say the biggest challenge has been the construction, because when people get in the doors and they get in our seats, they're happy, and they love what we do, and we fresh squeeze our juices, and we really care about what we do. So,
is that construction?
Is
it done yet? It seems like it's been going on a while. Are they finished up with that?
Yes. Well, the street pretty much, yes, but we're still waiting on the hotel.
Yeah.
But I think because it's been so long, I mean, we just gotta. It's almost like we have to rebrand ourselves,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're just looking at how does that even look
Does it? Is it a good thing though when they're done with everything? Does that bring more traffic your way, or?
when it's all done, said and done?
Yeah, all that's construction.
I think so. I think this hotel is going to be amazing. It's going to bring a lot of people in, and so yes, I think that's going to be helpful. I mean, there are so many things around us, like the Denver Central Market and other things that are happening around us that stay pretty steady. But we just have to get out there and really get talking about what we do.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's yeah.
General manager, you wear a lot of hats.
Yes, I do.
How do you balance your time? I mean, that's a lot of just thinking through all these different things you have to manage and balancing your time correctly. That's a tricky calculation, I would think, to figure out. It probably takes a while.
Oh, yes, brother, and I have yet to come to the answer around that. So, and I feel like when I do anyway, it's going to shift on me, and I'm going to be looking for another answer because that's how it is in life, right?
Yeah.
But so I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm learning all of the time, and trying to balance everything here, and then trying to balance my life outside of here is, I mean, that's a whole nother scenario, right? So. It teaches me to stay on point, because you gotta always know what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what do you do? What do you do outside of Comida for fun?
What do I do outside? What? Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, what's the balance? How do you balance it out? What's happening outside?
Well, man, I love nature. So anytime I can get up in it, I do.
Nice.
I try to go to the mountains as much as possible. I'm outside as much as possible. Take a hike, I rollerblade or whatever. I don't do that very often, but it's an idea. It's a vision, But like I said, I just have to be outside. I love to picnic outside. I love to just hang and play volleyball. I love sports, so I play as much as I can when I can.
Nice.
And I do have a 13-year-old daughter, so she keeps me on my toes too. So that's really great. And then, what were you going to say something?
No, go ahead.
I also one of my biggest passions is working with youth and actually having conversations about at-issue topics and about their experience in the world as young people. And so I have been in the process of working on my business, doing some of what you're doing with restaurateurs, and having conversations with them online, or for everybody to hear. So that's something that I'm in the process of working on very, very slowly, but I love it. As you can tell, I love to talk.
Oh yeah, but you also have a lot of joie de vivre, right? I mean, you can hear it in your voice, and you've got. It sounds like you have a really nice balance of that, of your daughter and your family, and you're certainly, if you like outdoors, you're in a good place in Denver. That's for sure.
Right.
Goodness.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
exactly. Where do you live, Will?
I'm in North Carolina. I'm in Charlotte.
Oh, North Carolina. I hear a bit of your drawl.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Notice. I'm digging that.
Can't hide it. I've had it my whole life, that's for sure. I've been here my whole life, but I do. I like to snow ski, so I've been to Colorado a few times and Utah and stuff.
Oh, right on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. No, it's beautiful out there.
It's gorgeous.
Well, so one of the things I'm curious about also is because we're talking to people from independent restaurants here, owners and people that work in independent restaurants, and I just love what independent restaurants do. I think they're a vital part of the community. They provide great jobs. They provide places for people to go celebrate all kinds of things in life, from engagements to who knows what. People grieve in restaurants. They celebrate in restaurants. They
absolutely.
They find connections with their friends and loved ones in restaurants, and it's just such a great gathering spot, particularly independent restaurants. Do you have any thoughts just in particular about independent restaurants versus chains, and the difference in what they are able to offer. I mean, chains can offer scale and they have lots of resources and all that kind of stuff, but there's things that independent restaurants have that chains could never have in terms of authenticity and so forth. So I just always like to ask people about that work in them, what they think about that.
Absolutely, and I love that I've only worked for independent restaurant owners, and so I can't really speak to commercial, the bigger chain restaurants. My experience in knowing people who have worked for them, as opposed to compared to me working for independent, I think the biggest thing that comes to me is family.
Yeah,
and that is something that seems to follow suit with independent restaurants. Is that they're not just your coworkers, but you create family throughout, and that's important to me, and that's what I love about it. And change, it just feels, there's just so much that goes along with that. Yes, there's the offerings of insurance, for instance, that can happen, and I appreciate that. But it's just never been my gig, because I'm more like, I love to support the small business owners, and again, I just love the whole feel of family.
Well, everything, the jobs and the dial, all of it's going right back into the community. I mean, it's not flowing out to, somewhere. Yes. This is y'all's thing, and you invest in the community and provide jobs for the community and everything. It's a local thing, and it's really a cool thing to see for sure. Well, hey, listen, I'm going to let you roll. I really, really appreciate it. You're an inspiring lady, and I enjoy talking to you, and just had a lot of fun. And I appreciate you taking the time, because I know you do have 1,000 things going on all the time. So, but thank you for the opportunity, Dameda.
Well, thank you, Will. And next time, allow me to interview you. I don't have any more questions.
I hear you. Anytime, happy to.
All right. Let me turn the tables and let me sit behind the mic, and I'll ask you some questions.
Always. Love doing this stuff.
All right, brother.
All right. Thanks, Dameda. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Will.
All right. Take care. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.